Our next guest is Maria Lamont Echaquan. Maria is the mother of three children, 8, 6, and 3 years old. She has a bachelor's degree in education from Trois-Rivières. She is currently a teacher in adaptation classes. She worked for 2 years with 10 and 14 years, and she is working with 5, 6 years old children. She's also a pedagogist, and madam, she's a member and the president of Elano in Manawan. Maria will be with her co-workers for this presentation. So here is Maria and her co-workers. Hello everyone. We are happy to be here today. We will try to present to you what we did in Manawan for the parents' better involvement in our community. So we are the ring, the community of the ring. Oh, sorry, not the ring, ANO, ANO. It's actually an acronym. I was translating the word ANO in French. So that's us. When we were elected, we had a general assembly where we called all the parents. We invited all the parents. That's Annette, because we work a lot with the Director of Educational Services, Annette Gibet. You can see her in red on the left. And our chief is supporting us too. He's always with us when we do our school activities. He often comes and participates. What is ANO? It was Gerard Ottawa's idea. He was a great pedagogist. He passed away a few years ago, but that was his vision. His vision was for us to have an autonomous structure, but will take care for strictly of education, financially as well, because the money for education has been used to absorb deficit from other sectors in our community. In 2014, a committee was created. They offered a structure, like a functioning operational structure to set up the ANO. And in 2015, the Council of Atikamekw approved the resolution officially recognizing ANO as an organization within the board. The council, sorry. So ANO is an advisory and consulting organization for our director, Annette. So we are here to help her in her decision making and to promote the involvement of parents in our community. Because parents' involvement is very difficult in our community. We have a really hard time to mobilize the parents. I'm a teacher, and there are a lot of teachers in the ANO community. Our role is to put in writing our recommendations for director. So if we have recommendations to make, we write to Mrs. Annette, and she sees the recommendations and she makes decisions based on the recommendations. So she is the one who always has the final say and the decisional power to decide if the recommendations are going to be followed. I will let my friends introduce themselves. I was elected as a parent member for elementary school. I will let my friends introduce themselves. I'm Luce Flamand. I'm vice president of ANO. I was elected as a parent in elementary school. Maria Flamand. I'm parent member of elementary school. I'm Bianca Flamand. I work as a employment counselor, employment and training counselor. I was elected as a member of the Manawan community. I'm Patrice Ottawa. I'm a parent member of high school. There was an empty seat, and I was elected. I asked my wife if I could go and cook, and cooking is here with education. I work a lot to encourage the transfer of knowledge and language in education. I think it's very important. I'm Thérèse Dubé. I work as orthopedagogist in elementary school for the past 20 years. I belong to ANO as working member, working in education. Hello everyone, I'm Karina Ottawa. I'm an elected member of the Council of Manawan Atikamekw, and I was elected in ANO as representative of the Council of Atikamekw, but I'm also a teacher in elementary school, grade 6. This is the organizational chart of the Council of Atikamekw of Manawan. You see the arrow? The arrow is l'ANO, the ANO. ANO is a consulting and advisory entity, so it does not have any hierarchical connection with the management. We're here to support Annette Dubé, who's the Director of Educational Services. The mission is to support and promote the directions that we take for students' education in the community. I will continue with the responsibilities and duties of the ANO. What we're doing is consulting about guidelines and orientations. We're involved in the programs to enhance attendance. We recommend the adoption of budgets and financial statements, the adoption of a training program for parents. What does ANO do? ANO comes up with written recommendations to the management of educational services. The Director of Education has full authority and full power to govern the operations of her services. Many activities were performed by the members of ANO. There was a training that we built with an education counselor. We created a flyer for parents. We took part in a symposium on education in Manawan. We organized a workshop. We were sworn by the band council of our community. We looked at the budgetary planning for education, which we approved. We also gave recommendation, and we approved the financial statement of educational services. We open a Facebook page. We post all of the information for parents on the page, and when we have activities, invitations are sent on this page. We also made a survey on the Cultural Week, a survey in Manoan on Cultural Week. We also made recommendations regarding the school calendar for both schools, high school and elementary school. We met with the Conseil des Atikamekw of Manoan on funding educational activities, and there are more activities coming up. We're talking about our first mandate because in Manoan we ask a lot of questions because we have cultural weeks. I don't know if you have that in your community, but there are people who ask us if we have to get rid of the educational school in May. Some people have asked us if it was relevant to keep it in the school calendar. The Council of Atikamekw and Anet asked us to perform a survey with the population to see if, according to them, they will maintain the cultural week in our community. When we started, we went on the radio, we talked about it, we informed the parents of about what will happen, what will be the pros and cons of getting rid of that education school week. So we talk about this week a lot because there are many people who leave the country to go on vacation, especially teachers. And parents were saying it's a cultural week, you shouldn't go and party. It's something that was brought up in our community, so that's why we wanted to go on the radio to inform the parents. We then asked the teachers and the school staff, we asked them their opinion on the matter, and then we did an online survey with Google form. And the result of that was that they wanted us to maintain Cultural Week. So that was a mandate that was time consuming to create the form, to wait for the population in the community to do the online survey. 92% of the community thought that culture and language were very important and it had to be present in the school. You can see that it's not all children go in the bush during this week. There are many of them who never go out. In green, these are the children who don't go. So it gives us ideas about what we can do to make sure that children can see as much as possible during these weeks. We asked them if they wanted us to get rid of that week. 80% said they wanted to keep it. So the director and the council kept these weeks in May. I'm going to let another co-worker talk about the issues. We have issues in Ano. One of the challenges is the parental involvement. That's why we came here. I think we're coming back home with good tools. Enhancement of education within community, because it's difficult sometimes to promote education in our community. There's a lot of dropping off. People don't finish school. Education is not very valued. Vandalism in the community starts younger and younger. Bullying in school. Everyone's involvement for students' success, the presence of culture and language in school. It started recently in Manoa, the funding of education. And I know we have our challenges, for example, availability of the members. As Maria said previously, we all work in education, so overtime meetings beyond work hours and the appropriation of ownership of our role. We just finished our first year and we're waiting for another year. Of course, at the beginning, we had great expectations. We thought we were going to do a lot of things, and we realized that that wasn't our role. Our role was to support Annette. That's why you see the little arrow moving faster. That was us at the beginning. We were very enthusiastic. We thought we were going to change everything. So this is the plan for our second year, is to improve communication between parents and school via Facebook. If you go to Adno Manuan, you will see our website. We also have our matching plan for the second year to find we're looking for a genius training idea to encourage people to come and train, because when we invite parents to this kind of training, it's always the same people who come. We also want to increase parental presence in the schools. As Maria was saying, it's very difficult to solicit parents when there are meetings at the beginning of the year, when we hand out the report cards. We don't reach the desired numbers of parents. There are other committees in the community, and we are trying to work in partnership with them. And with cultural weeks, there were recommendations that were formulated during the symposium in December 2015. There were specific recommendations that cultural schools were well structured. We're going to keep a close eye on this work. We had to be well structured, and it has to be regular school days. It has to count as regular school days. I don't know if we can do that. And we want to solicit parents so that to volunteer in our schools, so that they come to our schools as volunteers. I know is there mostly because of the financial aspect. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of surplus that we couldn't access because it was used to absorb deficit for housing or other departments. So we're trying to have as many parents involved as possible. It's difficult, but we are trying to play our part, to do our part. Because it's parents want more culture, teaching of the culture in our community. We are teaching the language, but it's more like a practical aspect of culture, like activities in the bush and so on. We are there voluntarily, by the way. We don't get paid to do what we do. So that's about it. If you have questions, that was our first year, so have any questions? Have any questions for the community of Ano? It's like Lord of the Rings. I'm the Lord. I find that hot. Your school council, Lano. How did you get the idea to legitimize the creation of your council? The council decided to set that up. I missed the beginning, or where the was it the parents who decided that there should be something supporting education? I think it came from the population and Mr. Gerard Ottawa, who pushed us in this direction because we were told that maybe over time it will become some sort of school board. We'd like to go in this direction, but we only at the beginning. The council has approved, we get support from the council in this process, and they want our youth to succeed because it's difficult at the moment. There's a lot of dropouts from school, like is the case in many communities, I suppose. Last question: how do you link the early childhood services in your community, because that's where education begins, like EEC and the different first Head Start programs and so on. So you are preparing the child in early childhood services. Do you integrate that component, your vision with them, or is it completely independent?
That obviously goes along with the advisory table because all the committees that we have in the community. Well, congratulations, you're a great model. We obviously want to leave our place to the parents because we are parents too, but we would like sometime in the future that ANO would be not just employees of in education, but it would be parents. That it'd be something which would be very representative of the community. Thank you.